And we are live here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites. That's right, we're back on our regular Saturday scheduling, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here. Welcome. Hello, Ian. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Ian said he just watched my Barbarian drum cover. I did that a couple of years ago, and yeah, thank you very much, Ian. Appreciate that. Well, it's me and Mr. Wayne here tonight. How you feeling, Wayne?
I felt better. Did make it out of the minus 50 wind chill here in Alberta, so that was nice to finally. We're getting back to more tolerable temperatures. But
Yeah.
yeah, listening to some Emerson Lake and Palmer, tons and tons of Jethro Tull for the Prog
Oh,
Corner tomorrow.
yeah.
So you guys better be on the lookout for that one because there's sure to be some surprises in mine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So if you're here right now on Saturday night, I mean, some people will be watching this on demand afterwards, right? But tomorrow, which will be Sunday, January 21st, Wayne and I are going to be on the Prog Corner again. This will be my 7th appearance there, I believe, and we will be discussing our top 10 favorite Jethro Tull songs with Mr. Scott Lade, of course. It is his channel, right? The Prog Corner. We love the Prog Corner. So that's excellent. And the premise of what we're doing today is we're going to talk about our top 10 favorite ELP songs. So we're going to try to keep this more condensed because we've definitely gone over the 90-minute time frame, right? But just the two of us today, I think we'll I think we can buzz through this and we'll have a lot of fun. So
Oh,
before
for
we get
sure.
into that, what are you doing on the Pocket Full of Heap and Prisms of Prague these days? I just saw the Home by the Sea video you did. It was great.
Yeah, I did Home by the Sea by Genesis coming out. Oh, darn. Tomorrow will be one Tull song, Cheap Day Return, Mother Goose. Got Arian's Time Before Timer, I believe that's what it's called. And on Prisms of Prague, I thought of starting a whole new series. Going to continue with also my Is This Prague's Most Recognizable Song? But the new series is going to be looking at prog albums and asking the question, is it any good? And
Okay. All
starting
right.
with Khan's Space Shanty.
Okay. Okay. Right on. Solid start. Okay. So yeah, that we've covered that. Brockway's Vinyl Bites has always got cool, fun stuff, especially every Saturday night, right? And we just
Yep.
passed the 500 subscriber count. Woohoo! And I got some cool news. I've just, well, if you saw my most latest update video, I've got 2 radio shows that I've just joined forces with. I'm in February. I've got a show with Prog Radio, and of course Deep Nuggets Radio on every Thursday. I'll be on both avenues, so check that out. Gonna have this guy's gonna have his own radio show. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, and before we get too much into it, yeah. So Ian had said that he saw my drum cover of the Barbarian from ELP. If you want to check that out, that's on my other channel, Cody Brockway Drums. But I've linked it in the description here. So if you want to check that out, go right ahead. After this is over, though. So Wayne is gonna list off his top 10 favorite ELP songs, and then I'm gonna list off mine. So Wayne, start with your honorable mentions if you have some, and let's go for it from there.
Okay, so like I was saying to you off camera, I kind of forgot to write mine down, and about an hour before, just been a mad scramble trying to figure out an order. But yeah, honorable mentions will be Bitches Crystals from
There you go.
Carcass is on there.
Nice one.
And yeah, I think that's the only one right now I can think of that I can cross off the list.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So starting with my top 10, number 10 for me is going to be C'est La Vie from the Works Volume 1 album.
Oh,
Some
nice.
great Greg Lake vocals, acoustic playing, just a great ballad.
Love
Showing
that
him
song.
off. Number 9 for me.
Number
Cross
9.
these off as I go along.
Number
is
9.
gonna be off the Love Beach album. Your favorite, Cody. It's gonna be a Taste of My Love.
Oh,
Just
man. Man, I gotta jump in here for a second. I'm sorry, but I watched a video on Sea of Tranquility a while ago, and one of the guys recited the lyrics from that.
Yeah.
It was so funny because the lyrics are well, you like the song a lot. I'm not gonna say too much, but he was going at it, like talking about it on the panel there. It was really funny.
It's funny lyrics. Peter Sinfield, King Crimson, ELP writer, and I always thought, you know what, if they would have called that darn album like what is it, like Private Encounters with Emerson Lake and Palmer, still had that cover or something, or like Emerson Lake and Palmer's Sexual Experiences. I think that would have been far.
Greg Lake loses his virginity. There you go. That's the one. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Is this where I would say you're wrong?
Maybe, but I really have to say that the music behind it is, for me, really solid. That's what really makes the song.
And lyrics in a band like this, I mean, as great as a lyricist as Greg Lake typically is, the music always makes up for any sort of shortcoming in the lyrics department, right?
Yeah.
So that's right on, man.
On to number 8 for me is gonna be the Endless Enigma Suite from Trilogy.
Man, we just took an elevator from the basement all the way to the top of the hotel, man. That's a great that's a great song.
Number 7 for me is Live in Sin from Trilogy as well.
Nice.
Another short, great number by them. Just really good. Number 6 for me is Memories of Officer and a Gentleman from Love Beat. Features some of I think Keith Emerson's most beautiful piano playing in that song. Like, it just gorgeous, lush melodies.
Right on.
Their last big epic they ever did, but I think it works really well. Kind of sad it got put on Love Beat, but Greg Lake's vocals are strong. Carl Palmer's drumming, as always.
Well, that one's got its whole following. Like, a lot of people, there's a lot of diehards who really like that song, that piece.
Yeah,
right.
It's a good song. Like, start to finish, it's one of those where you listen to it and you're like, wow, like this would fit on any ELP albums. It's that good.
Yeah. Hey, Ian. Ian says, am I allowed to type away here? Absolutely. You could type whatever you want. And just type away and tell your friends.
Song number 5 for me, Toccata.
Oh, nice one. Okay.
Yeah. From Tarkus. Man, that album start to finish is phenomenal. Gonna be hearing more about the Tarkus album later. Number 4 for me comes from the Emerson Lake and Powell album, Mars, the Bringer of War, I believe it's called. And wow. I was saying off camera that had this album come out 2 years earlier, we might be talking about, before all the prog bands did their big 80s album or attempted to do their pop 80s album, Emerson Lake and Palmer came out with, or Powell, I guess, this time came out with this. And I was listening to it and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, Keith Emerson's keys on this, his synth work is phenomenal on here. It really feels like a return to ELP for the band. Greg Lake's bass playing, wow, and his voice. Like, he still had his voice, which worked really good.
It just sucks if you're a fan of Carl Palmer.
Yeah, but after Asia, you knew he wasn't coming back. He wasn't turning down that Asia money.
That's true. That's true. He did come back in the '90s, but that's yeah, mixed.
Yeah.
I love Carl Palmer though. I got to meet him once. He was totally awesome. Nicest dude ever.
Yeah, like that's kind of the impression. Like even watching interviews, he seems like just a really nice guy. Just
Yeah.
yeah, he's phenomenal. And listening to his drums, he should always be up there with Bruford, Phil
Yeah.
Collins, Carl Palmer, Terry Bozzio as
Yeah.
some of the greats.
We should do
Well,
a
I
Mount
said number.
Rushmore. We should do a Mount Rushmore of prog drummers.
Oh man, that would be awesome because there's so many you could put in there, and
Yeah.
you're bound to leave somebody off, and someone's gonna let you know about it.
Yeah. So what's your next one, my friend?
Number three for me is Take a Pebble from the
Mm,
debut. Like hearing Keith's fantastic, fantastic keyboard work, his organ, everything, but also having Greg Lake's bass, his vocals. And I believe in that there's also a hint of guitar in there where they didn't do it a lot, but when Greg Lake would bust out the guitar, phenomenal player.
oh yeah. A lot of his
Number two,
guitar songs are on my list.
uh, number two for me is Tarkus.
My two.
Just, oh man, to think of the ambition to do that album
Yeah.
and that to be pretty much like your second album. And to always have that thing, how do we top Tarkus? Like the movements, the sweeps throughout that song. Like I remember the first time I heard it, and I was absolutely mind blown.
Oh yeah. That
Like,
intro, what it's in 5 or something, right? Like
yeah,
he's playing that on with his left hand while he's
yeah.
soloing with the right. That is unbelievable to me.
And also the Aqua Tarkus part of that song to have the vision to be like, I want it to sound like it's underwater.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
just
he's
nuts. And the fact they were able to pull this off and play it live.
oh yeah, that's big
But
time.
for me, my number one ELP song off of Brain Salad Surgery, Carnival 9, Suite.
Oh, there you
30 minutes of prog rock excellence.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
There is not even a bad note on that song. There isn't a bad lyric on that song. Everything to it is just perfect. And the
It's
fact, talking about Tarkus and it being as long as it was, to think, you know what? Let's make it longer, the next one, and cover most of the album, but have it at the end.
yeah, that's
Just
prog, right?
yeah. And I'll dare to say, like, I know a lot of people talk about Yes's 70s output, like how great Yes's 70s output was. I dare say Emerson Lake Palmer, I think, has a better 70s output than Yes.
Oh, well, that's a good debate. And anyone watching this, if anyone feels the same or similar, or wants to talk more about that, definitely tell us in the comments, please.
Yeah,
That's
because,
a great that's a great conversation for proggers.
yeah, and to think, what would Yes have sounded like instead of Patrick Moraz going from joining Yes? What would have happened if Keith Emerson would have accepted that invitation to play on Gates of Delirium or Relayer, that whole album?
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to think about. That's a crazy thing to think about. Do you think that he would have ever left?
Well, about by that time, I think they were like Brain Salad Surgery was 73, I believe, 73, 74. And they didn't do anything again until 77. So there was always a chance, but at
Yeah.
least the way Wake, or I guess the guys from Yes said, or actually it might have even been Emerson said, he got the call. And at that time, they were still playing stadiums. So
Yeah.
Chances are probably not, but it's one of those great what ifs.
Yeah.
Emerson would have said, you know what, let's do it.
That would have been awesome, even if he just did the one album, just to see. I mean, but then we'd also say, well, what if Patrick Moraz, was the keyboardist for Yes? What would that have sounded like, right? If Keith
Yeah.
Emerson got it, so who knows? But yeah, Keith Emerson is a total genius. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, I think he's a total musical genius, and I remember the day we lost him; it was so sad. And there's
Up
just
here in Canada, like, it was even on the news, like, you virtually hear very little. The occasional, if they were a big enough name, but both Keith Emerson and Greg Lake, when they passed away.
Yeah, I know. I remember the year because it was the year that I had opened up my store, which is Second Chance Records, 20 Argyle Street North, Caledonia, Ontario, Canada, I should say. Sorry. And we do ship. Anyway, I remember the day that Greg Lake died. And there was a store full of people. And like one guy was almost in tears talking about him because Greg Lake was just incredible. And these guys, all these musicians, like, I will admit that I cried when Chris Squire died. Like, that was a hard time, and just having that happen on top of it was just like, oh man, I can't take this. It's when a musician dies, it's like someone who created the soundtrack to your life is gone. It
was like that for me with Rick Wright of Pink Floyd, because I knew as soon as he died that was the end. There was never going to be a Gilmore Waters reunion.
Before we get too sad here, Christopher says hello, greetings from Sweden.
Hi, Christopher.
We love our Swedish music. I got my Opeth album sitting over here, just slightly out of reach. I would grab it and show you, but it is time for my top 10. It is time for my top 10, and I've got it on my phone here. And so we're going to go with my honorable mentions. Ian LaBelle said it best. C'est la vie. C'est la vie. Jeremy Bender. Take a Pebble, and The Sheriff. So those 4 songs are not in the top 10. So you know that the top 10 is going to be absolutely solid. Because, if you get C'est la vie, Jeremy Bender, Take a Pebble, and The Sheriff in the honorable mentions, then wow, that leaves for a really spectacular top 10. Hi, Mom. Mom says, nice shirt, Cody. Love you, Mom.
Hi, Cody's mom.
Chris says, I don't get ELP. Well, maybe after today's video, you might. I mean, this music is, when you get into this corner of music, it's not necessarily accessible for everyone. But if you keep digging into it, you might find something that you like, Hey, Mr. Wondrous. Mr. Wondrous, how we doing?
Pretty good.
My mom says, hi, Wayne.
Hi.
Ian LaBelle
ELP, that's the great thing about their entire discography is there's a little bit there for everybody.
Yeah.
There's some of it that's very accessible. And then there's some of it that's way out there into like the prog stratosphere, but it's really good stuff.
I mean, hey, there's people who love Van der Graaf Generator, right?
I think we found all 1,000 of them. Video.
Hey, there's lots of people. Like, even if you search it up, like you go on, various internet, parts of the internet, people love Van der Graaf Generator. Like, there's a huge following for that band, and I don't hate them, but I have a hard time with some of the material. Not all, but some.
I can really see why people love Van der Graaf Generator. Like, it's dark. And I can see why people like Tara, who says she's really into the dark music and that, I can see where it really speaks to her. So,
well, we love Tara and Dermot from Spin & Prog. If you haven't checked out her channel, or their channel, I should say, go check them out, because Tara and her dad run a great thing over there. It's a great dynamic. They're awesome.
Just past 100 subscribers.
Yeah, well, we had them feature on the Prog Corner and on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, right? So people people are catching on. I'm gonna get into my top 10. So number 10, we've got "Still You Turn Me On" from Brain Salad Surgery. I love this song. It's just under 3 minutes, I believe, and it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful song. I don't even know if Emerson and Palmer are actually even on the track. Is
I don't think so. Or if it is, it's very slight.
it's if Emerson? Well, I know Palmer's not on it, but if Emerson is, it's very subtle. It's pretty much a Greg solo track, but I just love it so much. I think it's just a gorgeous song. And the rest of my list has Carl Palmer in it in some way or form. So, so we'll put that one back there. We're gonna have to grab that out again soon. But we're going for one of the big hit singles here. Yes, we got "Lucky Man" at number 9. That's a great song, and
It is.
Emerson makes one of the best entrances, and he doesn't even make the entrance to the end of the song, and he comes in with this killer Moog solo, and boom, that segment of Prog where Prog guys would feature the Moog synthesizer extensively, that part of Prog was born right on that song, right here on this album, because that was the song that people first heard of this band. It was such a big hit. It's still, if you listen to the right stations, they still play it on, like Sirius XM classic vinyl,
Yeah.
all that today. And so that's a great song, just a beautiful
Not
song.
that song on that record.
Not a bad second of music here. No, this is an absolute incredible. This made my "Are These the Greatest Debut Albums Ever Made" video. If you haven't checked that out, I'd recommend it. But this is an awesome album. Is "Lucky Man" really Prog? That is a great question. It doesn't have time changes and all that. But you know what? It's the conclusion of a Prog masterpiece album, so there's room for it. Sounds like a ballad to me. Yeah, you could be right. It's a Prog ballad. There you go. It's a ballad.
It really changed. I think it allowed it to be accessible because if you look at a lot of the great bands, like even look at some of King Crimson stuff, there was always this we'll be adventurous, but we'll also write some somewhat commercial material so we can at least make some radio play.
Yes, and to have someone like Greg Lake, who's such a good writer, he could do that.
Yeah.
The Trilogy LP is in a different pile, but I have to pick the songs for number 8, number 7, and number 6. All 3 songs from the same album. Number 8, we got "Hoedown." I love that Roadhouse honky tonk thing with the keyboard. Trilogy, of course, the 8-minute epic near the end of the album. And "From the Beginning," which is another. Well, there is a Moog, so there's like not a Moog, but there's a synthesizer solo at the end of the song. And of course, Carl Palmer, you got him banging on the percussives like bongos and stuff throughout the song. But it's mainly a Greg Lake acoustic track. But another big hit for the band. So that's my 8, 7, and 6 is "Hoedown," Trilogy, and "From the Beginning." Now the next one is a very long piece, and it's their take on a classical piece. They turn it into a sort of progressive rock opera. I'm going for the entire "Pictures at an Exhibition" suite.
Okay.
That's my number 5. I don't know, because it's split up in tracks. I don't know if that's considered cheating, but I put it at number 5. Oh, I love it. I love this so much. They added lyrics to it, so it's technically Emerson Lake Palmer music, right?
Yeah.
They added their own spin to it, and I just think this is so bloody incredible. It's awesome. Mr. Wondrous says he might even put it at number 1. So, yeah, that says something right there.
I have to check that album out again. Like, I remember when I was going through it for Scott, I just kind of glanced at it a little bit, never really sat down and really digested it. So, probably be an album.
I'm probably going to go digest it once again after the stream here tonight. It's a fantastic album, especially, like, it's a chance for these guys to really show off the virtuosic aspects of what they do. But I mean, all their projects are like that, right? Like all the
Yeah.
All the first 5 or 6 albums do that really well, but this album is no exception. It's just totally incredible, and it's one piece, so I chose it as one song. Sue me.
Oh,
Next up,
man.
next up, my number 4 is side 1 of Tarkus.
Yeah.
The 20-minute track. Oh, I just love it. Like we were talking before, the band is just kicking ass and taking names here. The side 1, the Tarkus bit, the whole Tarkus track is just fantastic. That's my number 4. And of course, we're back to the self-titled album. I think I've named every song except for the 3 Fates and Tank. But those should be in honorable mentions because Tank has that awesome drum solo. But number 3 is Knife Edge.
Yep, I can see that.
And number 2 is The Barbarian. And if y'all didn't catch the beginning of the video, I actually did a drum cover of The Barbarian a couple years ago on my other YouTube channel. That's Cody Brockway Drums. And I did a cover of the Barbarian from ELP. But so you don't have to do too much extra work, if you go down in the description of this video, I actually included a link there so you can click on it, and boom, as soon as this is done, you can just go right there if you want. So Knife Edge and Barbarian, that makes up my 3 and 2. Just totally fantastic, awesome. And that leaves number 1. What do y'all think number 1 is?
Karn.
Wayne already mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Carnival 9 piece. It's not just the first impression. It's not just the second impression, which is the one with the radio single. It's not the third impression. It's all 3. It's the whole cake.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. Oh man. And it's fun to play on the drums too. I should get a drum video of that sometime. I can whip pretty much right through. Not to brag, because that's not what I do here on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, but I can pretty much whip through the first and second impression. I can pretty much play them. But maybe I'll do some brushing up, because it's been a while since I played them. Maybe I'll brush up and iron out the rough spots, and maybe we'll get you a drum cover on that soon. But my number 1 ELP song has got to be Carnival 9. Yeah, that's my number 1.
Like to think Jethro Tull did full albums. Imagine if they would have made that a full album, like just Carnival 9.
Yeah, that would have been something spectacular. That would have been
like
awesome.
There's some Emerson Lake and Palmer. Like one great thing about doing these is especially Emerson Lake and Palmer, their catalog is so vast and different that you could probably have like everyone would have a different list for it. But Carnival 9, I think Carnival 9 is just one of those moments where people talk about what is like the Mount Rushmore of prog epics. I think it really has to be up there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And Chris says, I need to go through ELP. Ain't no way I'm going to get it. Well, it's not for everyone, but maybe a good starter point is the drum cover of the Barbarian. I mean, keep in mind that is actually it's a traditional classical piece written by Bela Bartok and sort of transformed into a rock piece by these 3 guys. So maybe that'll give you a different perspective on it. I don't know. They did that a lot. They did that with Toccata and Barbarian, and obviously my number 5 choice, which was Pictures on Exhibition.
I can see why they're a hard band to get into, because most people are used to guitars and stuff in music, and the fact that there really isn't any in ELP or very little.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be a turn off for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you start getting into prog bands, there's different varieties of these bands, right?
Oh yeah.
Most of the people like Yes, and most people like Genesis, but when you start getting even further than those, that's when it's like, okay, well, some people love Frank Zappa. Obviously, we're in the love part,
Yeah.
right? Then there's some people that just don't dig it. There's some people that love Vandergraaf Generator. There's some people that just don't get
Yeah.
it. There's some people, actually, I'm gonna say a lot of people love ELP. Like those guys were packing stadiums like big time. But there's a, again, it's not for everyone. Like Christopher says, I don't like Yes that much. It's not for everyone. They're one of my
No.
favorite bands, but I I would have a very hard time doing a top 10 Yes songs because they've got like 30 albums and I love probably 25 of them. I love Genesis. That's my favorite band. Zappa is God. Yeah, he is. ELP was raped by the critics. What a way to put it.
Well, oh man, some of even Rolling Stones takes back in the day, like especially mentioning Uriah Heep and stuff, it's like, yeah, you guys should go back to probably your San Francisco bands you really like and go back to talking about those because you really don't know prog very much.
Yeah, and nowadays they've tried to come around like 50 years later, but when all these guys are pushing, 80 years old now, right? And so
Yeah.
now it's finally like Gary Green is in the top 50 Rolling Stone guitar players or whatever, but 40 years ago they would have slagged on him until Derek Schulman became the head of Roadrunner, right? It's like,
Yeah, like I'm looking at even their list now, people are critical of it. But then I went and looked at a lot of different lists, and I hate to say it, Rolling Stones isn't too far off from a lot of different lists I've seen. Now their list is absolutely insane, but usually the top 10 is the top 10. That should be your icons in there, not your pioneers.
right, right.
Like that's the one issue I found is I think a lot of these lists are too they give the pioneers too much credit, and then icons are kind of like put before, but it's like these guys took what these other guys were doing and they expanded it at a whole nother level.
Well, I think that these news publications for music are kind of, outdated. Some of these places like Rolling Stone magazine and
Yeah.
stuff, nobody really trusts those. So people come to guys like, like they go to the Prog Corner or they go to Sea of Tranquility or they go to you or me or they go to like Prog magazine or whatever to search out because the people that are doing what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
just for for lack of a better example, but what we're doing right now, a lot of people seem to trust opinions of people like this, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's like instead of reading a Rolling Stone article, they can watch Sea of Tranquility or Prog Corner or Prisms of Prague or Brockway's Vinyl Bites or one of
Yeah.
these, and go, okay, well, maybe this band is worth checking out because these guys actually listen to this stuff, unlike people who just hear 20 seconds of a song and review it based off of that, right? And just don't go anything deeper than surface level, which is what a lot of these publication avenues do.
Yeah.
Um,
It,
yeah.
it's just something that I've always looked at, and I'm like, you know what? That that's one of the great things about YouTube is
Yeah,
it gave a lot of these guys exposure that probably never people would have never talked about.
I know. Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. And now because I've got two radio shows, I don't know, there's some people in the chat here that weren't around at the beginning of the music, at the
Yeah.
beginning of the video, but Chris goes, I get it from 20 seconds. I rule. I love it. That wasn't exactly what I meant, but you got it. Um, so now that I've got a spot on Prog Radio, which is going to be every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, repeating on Friday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. and I do a nightly, sorry, not a nightly, a weekly show on Deep Nuggets Radio every Thursday night, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, I've had, like, even just in the last week since this news has all been out, I've already had at least 2 or 3 people messaging me saying, "Hey, can you play my project on the air?" I haven't even been on the show yet, and it's like, "Oh, this is great," so that this is like, if I can help out the underdog, even though I'm still in, that's this sounds, I don't mean it to sound cocky, but if I can, on my way up, if I can help bring someone else along with me, if I'm getting these radio shows and someone wants to email me their project and help help me expose their music, then I will absolutely do that for them. Even if if there's 222 people listening, that's still two more than zero, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, if I can help with that, that's what that's what I'm getting into it for. I want to hear
yeah,
new
it's
music and want to help others out.
yeah, and I definitely think you'll like Arian. They're especially the one I told you about, the theory of everything that has Rick Wakeman, Keith Emerson, Jordan Rudess on it.
I will be playing that for you, by the way.
Oh
So
yeah, great.
I'm
Like
gonna.
I know I sent you some of the songs from Into the Electric Castle. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing like how Aaron Lucasen got all these people to play with him, play on his projects, like start to finish. Yeah, Christopher, I understand, but I think it's a great if you're asking somebody who likes old school prog and is interested in new, it kind of actually can bridge that gap because I feel like it's a great melding of it.
Mr. Wondrous said to add links. I will do that actually after the video is over. I will add links to the radio show projects that I'm getting a part of. If you watch my most recent video, it's called "Update What's Going On." On that video, I talk about getting the gig with Prog Radio and Deep Nuggets Radio, and in that video, there's links in the description to that video, but I'll also post them on this one as well. And if anyone wants to leave me requests for the Deep Nuggets radio show, just go on to my Facebook page, Brockway's Vinyl Bites. On just type in Facebook, Brockway's Vinyl Bites, Deep Nuggets Radio. It'll show up, and you can join and type me anything you want. I'll put a link to that as well in the video. But Wayne, I will definitely do my best. Now I'm in the process of uploading my couple of thousand CD collection into my
Oh,
iTunes. It's a very tedious task.
oh, I
But
know. I had about. I remember back in the day, I had CDs and I was putting it onto iTunes, and I think I had only 40 albums, and it felt like it took forever.
oh yeah, I've just today got on the D section.
Oh wow!
There's a lot there, but I don't have any Arions, so I'm gonna have to go and acquire some of that, and then I'll be able to throw it in for you on the first show,
Yeah,
February
I think
8th.
you're into Dream Theater, so I think you'll like it. It features some of the guys on some of the albums from Dream Theater, like James LaBrie does vocals on an album. Bruce Dickinson's on one album. Amazing.
Oh, you just sold me, man.
Yeah. Mr. Wondrous, have you all done Return to Forever Romantic Warrior yet?
Have we talked about? No, we've not talked about it here, but they're a great band.
Yeah. Only thing I know about it is that it features Chick Corea and Al Di Meola on it.
Yeah, yeah. I've
I've
heard.
wanted to look at that album for a long time, and might see a video pop up pretty soon about that record.
My mom says Christopher is friends with the guys from Moon Safari. Actually, yes. Yes, he mentioned that to us about 1 or 2 streams ago. He left a comment saying that, yes, they're from the same area. There we go. There we go. And he also said James LaBrie is a lady. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I will say the last Moon Safari album, and I think I've only heard the first two and the last one. Absolutely phenomenal band.
I've only heard the newest one. The first Himmelbacken has come finally, but I haven't opened it yet. But I've played the second one and it's amazing. Ian LaBelle says, "Are we going to play any ELP?" Yes, I will play ELP, and that kind of wraps up our show today. Now we're just kind of chatting with the people in the comments here, but we've sorted through our top 10. Now, tomorrow we're going to be on the Prog Corner with Scott Lade, me and Mr. Wayne Fisher here. We're going to be on the Prog Corner. We're going to talk about our top 10 favorite Jethro Tull songs. So we're quite excited for that, aren't we, Wayne?
Yeah, we're really excited for that. It's going to be fun because I know my list is bound to. I know I'm instantly already going to get from Scott, "You're wrong. You're wrong."
Well, this is the first time I ever said you were wrong when you put "Taste of My Love" in the top 10, right?
I know it's just one of those songs that the rhythm to that song is. I just really love that rhythm.
I'm gonna have to go back and revisit that because I don't actually. Hey, we all like what we like, you know. I'm not gonna sit here and say you're wrong. I will definitely jokingly do it, but all right. So if you haven't subscribed to A Pocket Full of Heap and Prisms of Prague, those are Wayne's channels. Go do those right now. Obviously, you're probably subscribed to Brockway's Vinyl Bites if you're watching this. So thank you very much for joining us. And go check out the Prog Corner where we often reside on Sunday afternoons. And yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps us up for today, right? I think that.
And also go follow, if you haven't already, go follow Spinnin' Prog.
Oh yeah.
Dermot's supposed to be on tomorrow with us from that channel. Great dude. Had a lot of fun with the Pink Floyd stream we did. We got to do a part 2 to that. We kind of ran out of time with
well,
that. Also follow Pontus. He's usually on the Contrarians. He's usually a regular. And yeah, also one thing I will say, I like Love Beach. I don't think it's that bad, but I wonder, will I feel the same about Jethro Tull's Under Wraps? Because that's one that usually gets dunked on pretty good. So I figured I'd give that album a listen to tonight and see what I think.
I better do that too, because I've never listened to that, but I was able to come up with a top 10 from the other albums that I love so much, like just love. So yeah, so okay, we'll both go listen to Under Wraps, and then we'll come back tomorrow and see what's up with that, right?
See if any of those make our top 10.
Ian says, "God save the king." I know the reference you're making there. I get you. You came from the Prog Corner. I get it. I get it. I see you.
Whole lot of progging going on.
God save the king, as Scott says he needs your saving, right? So
yeah.
I can't do that as good as Scott does. That's his thing, right? He's super good at that. Okay, well, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time. We're here every Saturday night, so yeah, come on, rock on with us anytime. Rock on.